They've been there all week. Anyhow, let's get started. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yay! Good morning, all. Good afternoon. Feliz Navidad, whatever, I don't know. Anyway, our Toastmaster today is none other than Toastmaster David Brudney, who's over there talking. If I was a teacher, I'd give him a bad mark. Anyhow, Toastmaster David Brudney.
And isn't it a good thing that Joyce is not the teacher? It is time for you to win this chocolate bar. In fact, there'll be 3 opportunities. This is the first of the 3. Can you tell us, on this date in history, February 21st, 1953, the first to shout this out will get this. I think I know who's going to get this. Francis Crick and James Watson discovered the structure of what?
DNA.
DNA, Dr. Mikasa. Should we throw it? Should we toss the famous?
Yeah.
All right, we got it. But don't fear, there'll be more opportunities soon. Wonderful Hershey's chocolate. There's been evidence that chocolate reduces the risk of stroke. I think it's mainly dark chocolate, however. I think chocolate overall will be helpful. Now let's hear from our grammarian who will give us our word of the day that we should try to use. Let's welcome Toastmaster Brandy Roberts.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our word of the day, don't have any tape, is abstruse. Abstruse is an adjective. The meaning of this word is difficult to understand, obscure, and to use that in a sentence. An abstruse argument presented by the arguments, meaning that it was difficult to understand and it was obscure. Word for today.
All right, the word is abstruse, and I'm trying to unabstruse the word, some tape so we can be clear. Oh, we have tape. Carol has tape. So the word of the day will not be abstruse. It will be very clear. We will know what the word is. And while the tape is being put on this document, we will move on to the Toastmaster Minute to know how we can be better Toastmasters. Maybe better communicators, maybe better speakers. But providing the Toastmaster Minute, I'm pleased to introduce Toastmaster Patricia Miner.
Good afternoon, Toastmasters. Today's, thank you. Today's, I come today to bring you the Toastmaster Minute, and today I will talk about tactics for tackling table topics. As we know, we are all exposed to being selected to respond to table topics, which can be very abstruse sometimes. In my research, there was numerous characteristics that we could use, but I'm just going to name a few. The very first one, and I think is the most important one, is we need to pay attention. When we hear, we need to be here. We need to pay attention to what's being said, because we may be able to glean something from what has been discussed throughout our agenda once we get to the table topics. The second one is be current. Perhaps a table, perhaps a table topic is given and you know absolutely nothing about it, or maybe you just don't want to talk about it. But if you can relate it to a current event, and that current event doesn't necessarily have to be what's going on in Toastmasters. It can be what happened last night, what happened on your way to work, what the weather is like and how that may have hindered you or propelled you along your day today. So be current. And another one, the third one that we probably find ourselves guilty of not doing, and it's following our first instinct. When we hear what our table topic is, go with what initially comes to mind. Sometimes we find ourselves overanalyzing what is being given as the table topic, but we just want to really keep it simple. And you want to keep it to something that your audience can relate to. The fourth one is associate, and it kind of goes along with follow your instincts, and it's just say the first thing that comes to mind. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time just thinking about it. Sometimes we can think and think and think, and we talk ourselves out of saying what we initially thought. But once again, just associate. And finally, sound advice. How many times have you been called to respond to a table topic or listen to the topic come from the mouth of your Toastmaster and find yourself without a clue? Basically, what you can do is just engage yourself, wrap yourself around it, and give it ownership. Make it belong to you. It may not be of interest to you, and you may feel like I'm lost, but repeat it back and interpret as you understand it and give your delivery. So overall, somebody's going to be called upon today to do table topics. And David has a surprise for you, so just pay attention, be current, follow your first instinct, associate, and give sound advice. Thank you. Toastmaster
Thank you so much, Patricia, for those 5 techniques. And there's a 6th technique that I watched the other day. Donald Trump's spokesperson is Kellyanne Conway, and she uses the pivot. And that's where when she's asked, is the answer black, is the answer white? And she said, it's gray. So that's where she doesn't answer the question, but she pivots. So that's another technique. Watch Kellyanne Conway. You'll be so confused after watching for 5 minutes, you have no idea what the original question was. And now let's move on to the speaking portion of our program. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever needed something really bad, and then you find out you're out of it? You're all out of it. So you cannot get what you really need. Our next speaker's speech is titled, Not Running Out of What You Need. Let's give a warm HealthMasters welcome to Toastmaster Carol Jackson.
Good afternoon. Have you ever been in a location and noticed something for sale and wanted it and was hoping you were the first one to reply to that item? Well, today I have before you 70-inch Samsung TV, and it's only 6 months old, and it still has a warranty. Paid almost $1,300 for it. No, I'm sorry, almost $2,500 for it. And I'm willing to take a loss and sell it for $1,500 because I'm going to move out of state, and I have no need for it. How many have seen something that you wanted and really wanted to get it? And you were not the first person. Well, items like that run out quickly, and it's only one available. But I'm going to tell you some things, 7 things that will not run out for you. Not running out of what you need. the renewing of your mind, faith, forgiveness, protection, love, patience, and sickness or pain. I recall early on a speech I had given before, and I talked about something. I don't really remember what it was, but I was talking about take what you need. So I kind of changed the words up a little bit, not running out of what you need. I'm going to give you some information. So actually, I'm going to give you some scriptures to go with these things I talked about, because God, or whoever you worship, never runs out of what you need. Renewing of your mind, Ephesians 4:23. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Daily, myself, I have to renew my mind, because we all live life, and life has challenges. In those challenges, we have things that we have to decide on. I have come to a point in my life where I've decided to be happy no matter what the situation is. I choose to be happy. And so that's me renewing my mind. Number 2, faith. Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Now we all talk about faith, and we have faith, and you really have to get to a point in your life where you trust that faith. Because I know myself, I had to really trust faith sometime in my life, and it's like walking blind with your hand out, not knowing where you're going to land, but only hoping for the best, and that's faith. 3, forgiveness. Colossians 3:13. Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. Yes, I had to get to that point in my life where you have to take it with a smile. You may not agree with something someone has said to you or done to you, but it's not your place to hold on. You still have to live. And one thing about holding grudges, it will affect your health. And I think everyone's health in here is very important to them. So let it go. Protection. 1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempered beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempered, He will also provide a way so that you can endure it. Now, I've heard my grandmother say many, many times, the Lord has not brought you this far to leave you. And that basically talks about patience, because the moment that I asked for patience, everything happened that made me impatient to become patient. So I know that's a hard one to kind of grab sometime, but we all could do it. 5, love. Mark 12:31. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these. Sometimes people take I love you out of context. I hear a lot of people now say love you. Me personally, I don't like love you. I love you. That makes it personal. Because love you can mean love you, love you, love you, love you. It's not genuine to me. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but that's how I feel. I like to use I because I'm personalizing it to the person. Number 6, patience. Now, let me go back. I had protection mixed up with patience. So the protection was 1 Corinthians 10:13. That's protection. Sorry, that's protection. And I hope and pray that I didn't type it wrong, but we will see, because you have scriptures to go with it. And if I did, I apologize. Patience, Hebrews 10:36.
For ye have needed patience, that after ye have done the will of God, ye may receive the promise. So I talked about having patience, but I'm going to talk about protection. Protection, I travel from Pine Bluff every morning, and the weather is bad sometimes. Like this morning, it was a little raining, and the 18-wheeler splashing water all over you. You're trying to get by. But I'm going to tell you something that I was so grateful for. It was Friday. My husband and I were talking. And I'm so busy doing so many things, I had actually forgot to tell him I heard a bloop, 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 bloop when I was driving. And immediately, it was dark outside, and I live in a country, and he had to go out and with a flashlight, and my tire was shredding in the inside. So I just thank God for the protection that I had traveling. And the last one is sick or in pain. You have 3 John 1 and 2. Beloved, I pray that all may go well with you, that you may be in good health as it goes well with your soul. And also Proverbs 17 and 22. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. I hope that I have helped each and every one of you all with not running out of what you need, of faith, renewing your mind, forgiveness, protection, love, patience, in sickness, and in pain. Thank you. You got my tape?
Yeah, I've got it back. Thank you, Carol, so much. And we will move ahead to our second speaker, substituting for Aaron. In fact, I might be able to give a quick speech, but let's see if Aaron will come. But we will now introduce our next speaker. And let me ask you, actually, let me just read you this. The story of healing of a blind man is found in the Bible, Mark chapter 8. Our speaker is pondering how Jesus communicated deep truths. This speech is titled Healing of a Blind Man. Please welcome Toastmaster Leonard Mukasa.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dave. I'll seek help from distinguished Toastmaster Joyce Bido. The abstruse arguments this morning. I'm following Carol, and I'm in her footsteps in a way. We are all much more than flesh and blood. Toastmaster Dave and fellow Toastmasters. In my life, the greatest communicator is the person of Jesus. Some of you, most of you may have heard about his story in the Bible. Some of you have not and have covered that in literature, but that's my take. And I've been impressed over the years by Jesus, but when I joined Toastmasters, I've been pondering all along. So Jesus is the greatest communicator, then followed by Dave, Toastmaster Dave, right here in our midst, and I'm not giving him that credit lightly, and fellow Toastmasters who have touched me over the years. Healing of a blind man. Let's talk about vision. Distinguished Toastmaster Adrian is not here, but what I'm projecting is the anatomy of the eye. There's also the physiology of the eye and the biochemistry, all very complicated. And the focus of vision where I want to talk about is here. And all things can go wrong with the structures you see here, either injury or disease, and end up blind. You cannot see. What's this story about the blind man? I just bumped into it last week. I was listening to a preacher, actually a homily, and they were reading the scriptures in Mark. Some of you are familiar with the books of the Bible. Mark is talking about Jesus on the way to Jerusalem, where he would reveal amazing truth that would die and then rise from the dead. So, in this story, he arrives in Bethsaida, and he's followed by a crowd. Some are his disciples, others are just non-believers. We used to call them the Pharisees. So they were following him to question him. And then the blind man. When they arrived in Bethesda, Jesus took this blind man outside the village. He literally walked him outside the village and did miraculous things. Spit on him, touched his eyes, and he asked the question, can you see? Actually, in most miracles, the healing was instantaneous. In this case, he asked him a question. And the reflection there is that he was testing his faith, and we are all being tested by our faith. Gradually, he touched him again, and then he could see clearly. The setting here is not by accident, because Bethesda had been talked about as a sinful city. I don't want to talk about Las Vegas, but that was the city, unbelievers, and a blind man. So what's this blindness about? What is Jesus saying? In this chapter, he had just fed 4,000, the lot left over, but they were still demanding for signs, a sign. So he goes ahead and does this blind man healing. You can see, he was saying, you have eyes but you don't see, and you have ears but you don't hear. After the miracle, he left to another village. And there he was following on his story, saying, who do people say that I am? And then he specifically asked his disciples, who do you say that I am? He was building this story up to Jerusalem. So to me, and in a matter of words, he was communicating all these truths, the divine and the real, in real time. So what does that mean? Most of us, I would say, have a vision problem. I have a vision problem. What you see here are my 4 reading glasses the last 14 years. This is the 4th pair. I just got it 2 weeks ago. The greatest things in this world are those we cannot see. The wind blowing the trees. Dave's mind is right there focused, but I can't read his mind. He knows what he's thinking about, I can't. But it's a great man, he's out there contemplating, maybe about Mukasa, I don't know. Oxygen, if it's lacking, you bet you will feel it, but you can't see it. Mind, HIV, and so on. This is nature. What Jesus was trying to say is there are things that we can't see. And he talks of the Pharisees as being blind. I would argue to you, sir, that some of us, many of us, or all of us are blind one way or another. Some argument is made that if only I can see, then I would believe. Really? The disciples were following Jesus and looking at these miracles, but they were still doubting. How about you 2,000 years later? So give yourself some consolation that way. Then the question is, are we blind by choice? And to sum it up, there's this hearing, which is grace. You hear, the blind man heard about Jesus. He was dragged. he was taken outside the village, and his eyes of faith saw, his first sight was seeing this Jesus. And he was rewarded. The healing here is about seeing our problems in life. And I would argue that there are things we can't see that are real for real, like our bodies, bones, and skin. Distinguished Toastmaster, no, he's not there yet. Toastmaster there.
But I like it.
Yes, yes, sir.
Great job. Thank you so much. I don't think there's time for me to give my 4-minute speech right now. And actually, you all would probably rather not hear from me. You'd rather have an opportunity to win chocolate, but there is time for chocolate. All you have to do is be the first to shout out the answer. On this date in history, February 21st, 1965, what civil rights leader was shot dead by the Nation of Islam followers? Malcolm X. Philip. All right, and let's move on to the next portion of our program, which is table topics. And we can have an opportunity to practice what we heard from Toastmaster Patricia Miner's techniques that she shared in a minute. Let's welcome distinguished Toastmaster Joyce Biddle.
Good afternoon, all. We're going to do something different today. We're going to do a murder mystery. For those of you who received a slip of paper from me, you're going to take your slip of paper, read that, and continue with a one-line sentence. Your number one, you're going to start. All right? You got it? Okay. There are 9 slips of paper. So our murder mystery will start with number 1. Who's number 1? Please stand when you do your speech, when you do your one line. Hold it down till it turns green.
When the guests heard the noise, they stumbled down the hallway only to discover dogs had eaten their dinner.
All right, number 2.
The police arrived and asked everyone to meet us at the vet to buy some more dog food for the dogs that were eating their dinner.
Number 3. We can use both mics, people. Pull the other mic out.
Fearing for my own safety, I told the police I couldn't have done it because I am not a violent person.
What?
Seeing that now was the right time, the butler stepped forward and declared, "Isn't this supposed to be a murder mystery?"
Gasping for breath and holding her throat, the maid stumbled into the drawing room and realized she had swallowed the ring that her husband gave her.
Number 6.
It was then that the front door burst open, and who should step in? But there was a jar of candy with the door left open. No, I cried. It was I who did it. For you see, the dead man was my ex-husband.
Oh my goodness. Surprising everyone, the dead man picked himself up off the floor, looked around, and said, "Number 9, where you at?"
You were supposed to finish that sentence.
Is that what we're supposed to do?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
You're supposed to finish it with something.
And said, "Why did you try to kill me?"
Who's number 9?
Holding rainy knife, I just settled down with the garage. Rum, 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 rum. It was starting up the car.
Okay. And to continue on with what Patricia said this morning, one of the ways that you can do table topics is to do a story. And you take the little bits and pieces and you give it to all the members of the Toastmasters and you ask them to take the sentences and continue on the story. We've done this before in HealthMasters, but it's been a long time ago. And I thought this morning, why don't we do it again? Okay? Did y'all like that? Yes. Okay. Mr. Topics and table. Wait. Toastmaster.
We know what you mean, Joyce. All right. Wow, we're really ahead of schedule. I can almost fit in a speech. However, we can always end early. You don't need to hear Dave speak. Well, why don't we, before we move on to the general evaluation portion, give you an opportunity to win chocolate. And if you've already won chocolate, you're excluded from winning another bar. And I just realized I have the answers here. I wonder who's been reading these answers. Joyce, you haven't been reading them, though. All right, on this date in history, February 21st, 1972, Richard Nixon became the first U.S. president to visit which country? Said that first. All right. I don't know what to do. We'll have to figure that out. Let me come up with, well, I'll come up with a different question. But in the meantime, I'll come up with one, but let's move on to the general evaluation portion, telling us what we did well, how we can improve in the future. Let's welcome Toastmaster Charlie Simpson.
All righty. I can just always take it from you, and I am here to introduce the best evaluation team on this side of the Mississippi. I'm getting ready to let you know. So we have evaluator 1, Philip, who will be evaluating Carol's speech. We're going to scratch out evaluator 2, I'm assuming, and use evaluator 3, Jonna Jacobs, who will evaluate Dr. Mukasa, correct? Right. Then we'll bring up the grammarian, Brandy, who will let us know how well we did with our English today, the R hard counter, Nicole, timers report, Mrs. Mitchell, and then I'll wrap up the meeting and we'll go from there. So let's start with evaluator number 1, Philip.
Good afternoon, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters guests, especially Carol. Great job taking on project number 9, the Persuade with Power speech. That's, I think, the most abstruse speech project in the Competent Communication Manual. You asked a question at the beginning that engaged the attention of everyone in the audience. I think one of the challenges that I always bump up against with a persuasive speech is how to have enough of an emotional connection. I come up with my facts and my supporting information and I go, oh yeah, part of the audience at least will need an emotional connection or they'll miss everything. I think if anything, there's an opportunity in a question like you asked at the beginning to build in an even more emotional connection. Imagine you want that TV and you come back to the place where the information is posted and it's gone. And I want to talk to you about things that will never run out. I think there might have been some more potential there that you could maybe tap for next time. From there, though, you told us early on what the content of your speech would be. I think it was very organized in your introduction and conclusion. You had, one thing I noticed is that you had visual aids here on the lectern that I thought fit very well with that metaphor of what the difference between wanting something that's offered for sale and it's gone versus what would it mean for someone to offer something that would not run out. I think just maybe a quick sentence there at the beginning to acknowledge, here's what you're seeing and here's how this works, just to have that internal voice in your head that goes, okay, the audience is looking at my visual aid and they're not sure whether to pay focused attention to me or to figure out how the visual aid fits in. You wouldn't say that to the audience, but just to make sure that you tie that in and then guide the audience's attention. Do you want the audience to see something here? Do you want the audience's attention back on you? It's just always in the back of my mind, okay, there's a visual aid. Am I supposed to connect the dots on this, or is the speaker about to say something? The other encouragement that I would give you is, especially in a 5 to 7 minute speech, it's a good idea to try to pare your content down to 3 points if you can, maybe 4 at the most. It's always hard to do that, but pick the 3 that are most powerful to you, that you've got the best supporting information to go with, and I think that would take care of any problems of where am I in my notes again? Oh, I may have already given that point, but it was for this other point. That it would just make it that much easier to remember what you want to say, to tie it back in with your conclusion. All in all, I think a very good speech, and you showed a lot of strengths that you have as a Toastmaster, and I look forward to future speeches. Mr. Evaluator.
Thank you. Mrs. Jacobs will come up and evaluate Dr. Mukasa.
Dr. Mukasa presented a speech today, The Healing of a Blind Man, which drew from the story in Mark of Jesus coming on the city of Bethesda and healing a blind man, one of the miracles that he performed. The type of speech that this was coming from was called How to Say It. So during the speech, your intent is to verbal devices other than your words, get your point across, or to use very descriptive and enigmatic words to say what your central thesis is. I thought he did a great job. Story was engaging. The thing that I liked most about it was how he linked the physical description by showing us the anatomy of the eye and how it works, linking that with the spiritual state of seeing. I also like that he used the topic of how to say something and applied that to the subject, Jesus, showing how he tried to say things so that people would know who he was and what he was. I thought he did a really good job in those ways of demonstrating that words are more than words. Sometimes what you say is what you do. If I had to make any criticism, which we're here to do that as evaluators, is to point out what could be better, the one thing I would say is to maybe get to the central thesis a little earlier, or put it ahead as a teaser for what's to come for the speech. But really, I don't have much bad or critical things to say about the speech. I thought you did a really wonderful job. Thank you.
Brandy, how well did we do with our English language? The word of the day. Come give us that report.
English language, overall we did good today. I did hear a few gonna do something. Just work on that. As far as the word of the day, we used that a total of 4 times today. And to refresh your memory, our word of the day was abstruse, difficult to understand. Thank you.
Our hard counter, Nicole, how did we do with our
Thank you.
All right.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and our most distinguished guests. I was counting the ahs today. I want to point out that I did hear a few so's. However, I did not ding on the so's. If you want to know if you did some so's, I can let you know after the meeting if you'd like to know. However, for the ahs, I counted about 3 for Patricia, about 3 for Carol, and I counted 1 for Dr. Mukasa. That is my report. Thank you.
Antoinette, let us know how we did with our time.
All right, great timing today, everybody.
Good.
Great timing. We had this word of the day given by Brandy. She did 24 seconds. Then the Toastmaster of the Minute came up, Patricia Minor, and she did 3.50 seconds. 3 minutes and 3 minutes. Then we had speaker number 1, Carol Jackson, 7 minutes. A little bit over that, but 7 minutes. Speaker number 2, Dr. Mukasa, 7 minutes. Table topics were just off the wall. 14 seconds, 8 seconds. Speaker number 2. Number 3, 6 seconds. Speaker number 4, 7 seconds. Speaker number 5, 11 seconds. Speaker number 6, 10 seconds. Speaker number 7, 5 seconds. Speaker number 8, 7 seconds. Wow. What an awesome table topic we had for the timer. Journal evaluator, evaluator number 1, Philip Borden, 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Jada, evaluator number 2, is it Jada, Jonna? Jonna, Jonna, 2.22. And then Brandy came up with 16 seconds. Nicole came up with 32 seconds. This is your timer's report for today.
Told you all we had a great evaluation team. No abstruse information today. Before we bring up Joyce, Dave would like to come up and give the candy bar away to me. No?
Maybe. If you get
Baby.
the right answer, Charlie, you're eligible.
Okay.
All you have to do is tell us, and I've got it right here. On this date in history, 1970, can you name the U.S. government official who began secret negotiations with the North Vietnamese? Henry Kissinger. Joyce. Wow.
History major.
Can Joyce catch his chocolate? But it's very hard. It's like it's not broken. It's perfect. Sorry about that. All right, now we'll turn control back to our general evaluator,
Alrighty.
who will introduce our president.
Come on up. Miss Historia, you gotta know your history. How well you doing history?
I wasn't a teenager yet, but I was like,
Oh, you're still. Oh,
I was around then.
That makes sense.
Okay. I would like to introduce our guest that's been coming so often that she needs to be a member. Don't y'all think?
Yes.
Let's get her in here. But no, seriously, Lisa, don't you want to join? Well, look,
On the spot, though.
we're not putting you on the spot, but in the upcoming dues renewal, the agency is paying for 10 more new members. You could be one of them. I'll talk to you about it. Okay. Speaking of which, that's one of the things I want to talk about, dues renewal is coming up. Dues for us is a total of $51, which is the $45 for Toastmasters International, $6 for HealthMasters Club. Okay? That needs to be paid before, what's the last Monday before March 31st? Okay. And the 31st is on when? It's when?
Friday.
Okay. We need to have dues paid by, when you say Monday was?
27th.
We need to have dues by the 27th so we can get it in before 31st. Because the system bogs down when you're trying to pay. We need to have at least 8 members paid by then. Okay? All right? Officers, if all of us pay by then, we'll be cool. Because the 7 of us plus Dave. Dave is the immediate past president. That's 8 right there. All of us are paid. It'll be cool. And the rest of us, come on in, pay y'all's too. So we need to be club in good standing. All right. The other thing I want to talk about is next week. Yes, ma'am. If y'all want to pay with credit card, we'll come on with the square. You still got it? Still got it. All right, then. Okay, so that means you all can pay with cash, check, credit card, debit card.
There's a fee.
There's a fee charged, but we're not going to worry about that fee. The club takes care of the fee.
Oh, really? So we can pay with credit card?
Well, I mean, it's no fee, but it comes out of the club's bank account. That's what I'm saying. So you pay it. It comes out of the club's bank account.
So if I use my American Express and swipe it, I'm just charged $50.
You just charge $51. It comes out of the club's bank account. Okay? All right. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is speech contest is next week. Philip has the sign-up sheet back there. If you're going to be here next week and you have not signed up, see Philip. We only have 2 contestants at this point. We have Aaron for international speech, and we have Dr. Mukasa for evaluation. If anybody wants to sign up to be a contestant, we will take you right now. Because we'd rather have more contestants than officials, because we can get officials from other clubs to come in as guest officials. Y'all got that? We'll take them. On the day of. As long as they have done at least 6 speeches in that CC manual. But then now evaluation doesn't matter. It's just on the international speech side. They have to have done at least 6 speeches. Now, if you already passed the CC manual, it doesn't matter. If you're already doing your advanced manual, it doesn't matter. But if you're somebody who's still working on CC, you have to have done at least 6 speeches in your CC manual. And he knows. He's won at the district level before.
Great, I enjoyed it very much. Someone else an opportunity to win it again. It was great. Acting, okay, I'm going to go here. Oh, think, act, laugh, and learn. It wasn't really me, it was just I thought that was something that worked.
Okay. So that's next week. Now, since we only have, at this point, we only have those contested, so they will move on to the area contest, which will take place March 18th at St. Vincent's in the South Auditorium. We will start at 9 o'clock, but you need to be there by 8:30. Okay? The winners at the area contest will then meet back at St. Vincent's April 1st, same time, 9 o'clock, starting at 8. We're starting at 9, but, you know. All right, then the winners of the division contest will then move on to the district, which is in Mississippi this time, and it's April 28th and 29th. So one contest is Friday night, the other contest is Saturday night, the way it always is. I think evaluation is Friday and international speech is Saturday. That's normally the way it is. Okay. You can go out there and look on the website because they already had a schedule out there. Okay. Now, one of the things I did this past week is, because you remember I told you one of my goals was to have at least 5 people get their CCs by the end of the year. One of the things I did last week is people that have looked like they're moving toward getting their CC. I sent an email out to you with the number of speeches that I know that you have done. It was a listing of your speeches that I have recorded. And I asked you to verify it. These are people I know that are approaching your CC. I didn't send this to everybody, just the people I know that are approaching their CC. So, well, Carol was one of them, and Aaron and Scott. I sent one to you, Charlie? Okay, I told you to look at it and verify if this is all your speeches. But these are the ones that are recorded in Free Toast Host. That's this. No, those are the ones that I have recorded in Free Toast Host. That's why I told you to look at it and verify it. Because if it's not in Free Toast Host, it's not. Those are not, I don't know about them. These are the ones I know about. Okay? So I want you to verify if this is all your speeches. Aaron has already responded and said that's not all of his. Because if there were days where you substituted one morning and it didn't get in there, then your speech is not recorded. And I need to know about them. But all those people I know are really close to their CC. Carol only needs 2 more. Well, she probably needs 1 more now because she did one this morning. Scott, which one of the comments I made to him was, it looks like you did number 9 twice, which would mean you only need 2, but it looks like you need 3 because you did number 9 twice. So I don't understand that. So anyway, things like that. So, you know, that's part of my job is to make sure you get your education through. And I'm really working on this for 2 reasons. I want y'all to get those CCs, and the other thing is a very real possibility that Pathways will start at the end of the year, which at that time you only have 24 months from when Pathways start at finish this round of educational stuff to do your DTM, to do that. Okay, so that gives you 2 years from the end of this year. That is if they stay on schedule, because they are behind. Toastmasters is behind. That was told to us at officers training last week. They are behind because they're doing the test right now. They're doing the test on, I forgot which regions they are, but the regions that they're testing, they're behind on the test. So it's a very possibility that we won't start at the time that we're supposed to. But if we do start at the time we're supposed to, it should be November. And there will be people that are doing pathways, and there'll be people that will be doing O at the same time. So people that join at the time that pathways start will be in pathways. People that are already members will still be in the O. So you can do both at the same time. So clubs will be doing both. But that'll be explained to us as it comes along. Okay? Any questions about anything I've talked about today? Yes, sir. Uh-huh. So does that mean I can put you back on the schedule? Does that mean I can put you back on the schedule now? Yes. Okay. Yes. You know, you were the only one. I know some people personally that's supposed to be doing some out of country traveling, and I'm like, are you sure you want to do that? But anyway. Okay. Okay, one other quick thing. Now, we don't have to worry about this yet. However, officers will need to be elected in the next few months. So I need y'all to start thinking about that. You want to hold an officer's role for the next coming year. Okay? Because some of us have been officers since we started this club. We just switched roles around. But we've still been the same officers. We're just switching around. And some of you newer people can take on these roles. Right, Philip? Sure. I mean, Philip's been an officer since we started the club. I wasn't an officer the first year, but I've been an officer ever since that.
But you liked it. Always work with me. You gotta sell this. You're not really selling it.
I do enjoy being an officer, but I will gladly step back and give the role to somebody else.
That's good, though. It's good.
It is. You learn a lot about Toastmasters when you're an officer. You learn things that you do not know when you're an officer. There are things that officers do that regular members don't do. Oh, the other thing. If you have not filled in all your little spots up here,
I added one.
please do that. Because I don't think everybody have all their little projects filled in up there.
Yeah, we've got stickers.
We got the stickers, so fill in your little projects before you leave today. Meeting adjourned.
Send me Shirley. If you want, maybe send me which one.